Well, there are a couple of more stories that I like to talk about, you know, in relationship to Miles. In my relationship, he came to the studio, as I said earlier, maybe 4 or 5 times. And this one time he came to listen to something in one of the editing rooms. And there was a telephone outside of the editing room. The phone rang and I went out and picked it up. And I heard the voice, so I knew it was Jack Whittemore, Miles' manager. And he said, "Miles?" I said, "Yeah, what you want?" He said, "Look, I got a gig in Boston for you. Pays $2,500. I said, "Fuck it." I hung up. About 10 minutes later, phone rings again. Pick up the phone outside. I said, "What you want, Jack?" He said, "Look, Miles, I call up the people up there in Boston." He said, "Man, they're willing to give you $5,000. I said, "Tell them to fuck off." I hung up again. You put the blue. Well, the phone rang for the 3rd time. I pick up the phone. I said, "Jack, you're a pain in the ass." He said, "Miles," he said, "they want you up there so badly, they're willing to give you $7,500. I said, "Bucket, you white motherfucker." I hope you got all that. Well, look, working with Mingus was another one. He would storm out of the studio. He did it a couple of times, and then he'd walk out of the 30th Street and turn around after he'd packed up his bass and come back in and unzip his bag and start playing. I mean, working with Mingus was a lot of fun. I played with him for a long time, over a course of maybe about 7, 8 years, maybe even longer. And that's one of the reasons why I became a producer, because I was making $10 a night, once a week, once every 2 weeks. I thought there ought to be a better way of making a living. But anyway, we made some great records with Charlie Mingus Home, Mingus Dynasty, and Let My Children Hear Music. And these were all great things. And if he didn't like something that one of the musicians would do, he'd say, "Take it out." I said, "Yeah, I've already planned to do that." I remember doing a concert with him at Lincoln Center. I had booked the truck, the recording truck, and just before we're getting ready to go on, nobody could conduct. Nobody could conduct the goddamn music. I'm saying, I'm the producer. It's going to be total disaster. So I said to Mingus, look, I'm going to conduct it. And because we had Bill Cosby on the program, a great collection of jazz musicians. So I said, "Okay, I'm going to conduct it." Meantime, I get a pair of earphones on. I talk to the truck on the street. I said, "Look, I hope you got everything." I said, but before we go on, I want to make sure that everything's working." So Mingus comes over to me and says to me, "I need 12 or 14 bars. I said, "You're out of your goddamn mind, Charlie." He said, "I want you to write it now, before the concert." I said, "Are you crazy? Are you insane?" I said, "Geez, I don't know what to do." I did. So I started writing like a bandit. And he said, "I need an opening for the concerto." I said, "Holy Jesus." I said, "Where's the original first page?" He shows me the first page. I said, "Okay." So I write 16 bars. I made it very simple, and it's on the record. And what we did this backstage as we're getting ready to go out there. And I'm saying, I don't even believe all of this. I called the truck. I said, "You got everything ready? Better put everything on," because I says, I'm going to head up to the podium and get started here. And the guard backstage says, "Hey, you two guys," he says, "get out, get on stage." I said, "You're talking to the artists." He didn't give a damn who the hell we were. So I go out there and I'm trying to get the music in order. And I'm saying, and Mingus never had an idea of taping the scores. Sometimes I don't do that, but taping the scores, page 1 through page 30. So I'm looking at the scores, and it says, you go to page 2, it says, go back to page 1, bar 5. I said, holy Jesus Christ, am I gonna make the, as I'm conducting, the music goes all over the stage. Were you there? Oh, you gotta ask somebody. The music goes all over the stage. Meantime, I'm conducting like crazy. I try to figure out who the hell's coming in next. But anyway, we made the opening. I grab up the music, and we put on one hell of a concert. And at the end of the concert, I almost collapsed. I said, I don't even believe. I called the truck, the recording truck. I said, do you have all of that? He says, Tim, we got every note. Every goddamn note, even the paper going on the floor. But it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm sure John remembers having fun with some of the artists. But I liked working with creative people. They were really great. You know, and when you got somebody like Mingus or Monk, Monk was even funnier. He'd never show up on time for a session. He'd be an hour and a half late, and we'd finish an hour early. Now, how do you figure that? He'd walk in, and he'd see the piano there, and I might be sitting at the keyboard, and he'd look at me kind of funny like, because when he wasn't there, I would write a little piece of music and play it with a group, and he'd walk in and see it. I'd get up from the chair immediately. I'd run in the control booth, and we would. I said, put the machines on. We'd start recording. He would sit down because we had a balance. We were all set to go. And we would record for an hour, maybe an hour, and then he said, he'd walk away. Meantime, you got 7 numbers in the can, or 8. I mean, it was just remarkable. Or the time that the drummer didn't show up. I got this on tape somewhere, and I'm still trying to find it. The guy was in Philadelphia with no tubs. He didn't bring his tubs, didn't chip his tubs, his drum set up. And Mingus, I had the engineer plug in the phone line into the machine, the recording machine. And I got this on the tape somewhere. But the dialogue that went between the Monk and the drummer was unreal, unreal. I mean, I can't even put this on tape. I mean, I could do it for my friends in a closed room, padded cell or something like that. But to tell the story outwardly, it wasn't very fun. He cursed this guy up and down. But he was such a remarkable guy to work with. I never worried. And I remember working with him in California. And I'm sitting at the piano, and I'm not a piano player. I tried so hard to be a piano player, but I'm not. And I said, Monk, do you know this? No. I said, well, here are the notes, here's the chord. And I said, no, to the engineer, and so I said, play that back so he can hear it. And these are outtakes. So this is how we made a solo piano album. Now what they did later, they thought that these were outtakes. They sure were outtakes because they had nothing to do with what we finally put down. And when he finally played these tunes, it was absolutely gorgeous. But somebody along the line thought that this was a discovery, and they put out these rehearsal tapes and called them the outtakes, and put it into a record called, 12 alternate takes of these tunes. And it just broke my heart. And I'm still angry at the guy for being that stupid, because he should have known better. I mean, but working with Monk was really a great time, because we did a television show together with, oh God, it was about 25, 30 years ago. I can't, it'll come to me somewhere along the line.
Sound of Jazz?
Yeah, Jazz. It was the Tonight Show.
Oh.
Who? Steve Allen. Steve Allen. And I was to be the guy to put the band together. So we had Mingus in the band. We had Eddie Burt. We had Danny Richmond. We had, I can't think of, we had Mingus and myself and Monk. I think that was the band. And maybe Art Farmer. Now, I called a rehearsal at one of the studios in town. The only people that showed up was Charlie Mingus, myself, and the trombone player. And meantime, I'm looking out the window, and who do I see on 52nd Street smoking a joint? It was Monk. I said, oh my God, you know, we're going to get arrested. And we'll all be pulled in. I said, I rushed downstairs. I got him, put him into a cab, and I got the other guys. I said, take this guy to the NBC studio, Studio C, whatever it was. I says, and get him inside. And I paid the guy, I don't know what maybe I gave him $10. I said, just drive him over there. And he drove him over there. And they put us in the basement with no piano, no drums. And Monk I said, look, let's go over the routine. And I said, Monk, we're going to do Well You Needn't. Yeah, okay. And he goes like, there's no piano there. He's like, imagining there was a piano. And Mingus is trying to play some bass. And the trombone player said to me, look, man, I got to go. I got a gig. I'll be back in a couple of hours. I said, you got to be kidding. You took a gig today? These guys, yeah, I needed the money. I said, oh, well, go ahead. So we're trying to work out a routine. So we're in this basement. I don't know whether it's a toilet or what it was. It was some ungodly place. So finally they said, okay, the Thelonious Monk band on the stage. Monk, band on stage. So we go up and they mark us all out. Where are you going to play? He said, where's the trombone player? I said, he'll be here later. He said, what is he doing? I said, well, he's working at the moment. Oh, so we go. I said, okay. Boom, do. Boom, we do a number, and we're playing, and the band is really having a lot of fun. I mean, it was really cooking with those guys, and it was absent with the trombone player. So the producer runs up on the stage, stop! We're now into 5 minutes. He said, man, look at 2.5 minutes, that's it. I said, okay, thank you. We'll cut it down. I said, well, Monk, we'll do the opening chorus, and somebody will play 8 bars, and then maybe a little more Monk, and then out. So we did that. We ran it down once. The guy said, okay. I said, what are you going to do? I said, well, we're going to do one of his most famous ones. He said, okay, it's a ballad. And the guy comes up on the stage screaming at me. Said, what the hell you think you're doing here? He said, this is not a rest home. We don't want that kind of, we don't need ballads. He says, you got to do something else. I said, but this is one of the biggest numbers, you know, in Monk's repertoire. Ruby, my dear, is it? And I said, you know, look, we'll cut it down. Now, there's a film of this. I don't know if I still have it or not, but so we do it, and at the end of the program, before we went on stage, we sort of rested a little bit, and all of a sudden it was showtime, and they called the band up, and meantime we're up there wrestling. So we do our bit, and we come to Ruby, my dear, and he's playing. He said, Steve Allen comes on and says, Monk, he said, you know, for the millions of the listening audience, can you tell us, you know, what's all about this style? And Monk looks at me, and I look at him, and he grunts for about 30 seconds. So Steve Allen says, I thought you were going to say that, Thelonious. Thank you very much. And we do the last number. And then after that, he chases Steve Allen around the studio to get his $300. No, we didn't get, we got paid $30 a piece. And he's chasing Steve Allen up the ramp, down the ladder. And finally, Steve Allen took out $300 and paid him off. I said, you know, I'm sorry about this, Mr. Allen. I said, you know, maybe the guy just needed the money, you know. I mean, so far as we're concerned, you have your people take care of it through the union, you know. And I just left. But it was always fun to work with him. And working with him at Birdland, I remember working with him on a Monday night in the band. We had the same kind of band. And Monk he was spry, man. He was ready. God damn, man, he sat at the piano and he was going through it, doing his number. Oh man, the band, boo doo 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 doo. Jesus, we were having one hell of a time. And then we'd break for intermission. Monk was a half an hour late for the second session, second set. And there were 3 sets. So finally the third set, I don't think he showed up. We're doing it without a piano player. And I'm saying, oh, like, Jesus, what are we doing? You know, I don't know if I've ever found him after that.